All right, all right. What's up? What's up? I got a new setup, y'all, so I'm still getting used to it. Normally, I look down at the computer because I'm using my MacBook, but got a new camera, so we rocking with that. Hope I look decent for y'all. But thank you so much for joining us live today. We just want to give you just value where you could just be successful all around. Today is about landing your first cloud role. Expert advice from IT leadership from Cody Lomholt. I appreciate you coming in, man. He's going to be really just talking to you about a process of as a leadership and people, a person who has hired 10 plus people out of Level Up in Tech. What does he look for in candidates like yourself? But I appreciate you coming on, man. Thank you so much for being here, Cody.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I've always admired the program, so happy to help out.
Yeah, yeah, thank you. If you can hear and see as well, put the LUs in the chat. I will not move forward until I see an LU because I want to make sure everyone can see and hear as well. I see we have some people in the building. We have about 60 something plus that registered for the event. So hopefully everyone will join. Let me see LU. Okay, I see it in LU now. That all right. Let me give them a little drink real quick. Hold on. Okay, okay, okay. All right. Oh, there we go. It's coming through. Love it, love it, love it. So if y'all ready to really get some value, I know you here to really understand. You've been through the process, even if you're not in a program, you've been through a process. You've probably been learning on your own or in a program or through a Discord or through whatever, right? And now it's time for you to really just focus on like, hey, what do leadership or people in leadership roles in companies like, you know, Accenture, uh, SHI, any organization, what are they looking for? And want to give you some value out of the mind of someone that I've been knowing for a while, and I really appreciate opportunities that he's thrown our way. And this gentleman, it just when he talks, you better take notes, right? Because we're here to learn, regardless of how long it is or how short it is. We're here to learn. So make sure you get your notepad out, or you got an Apple or God forsaken Samsung device. Make sure you take notes on that. All right. So if you're ready to get started, put yes in the chat. If you're ready to get started, we're going to, start with the first type of questions. Let me see yes or thumbs up, whatever one you want to put. What up, Ed? What up, Steven? What up, Desi? I didn't say S. I said yes. All right. All right. You ready to get started, brother?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, man. Listen. Okay. So we're going to the meat and potatoes. So, Cody, what do you think is the biggest misconception that junior candidates have when they come through the interviewing process?
Yeah, I think there's probably a lot of them. I think some people think, it's all about technical assessments and, challenges and stuff like that. And it's all about having all the answers, on the fly and things of that nature. Um, I think one of the things that's specific to that kind of junior role is that, all we want to hear about as hiring managers is your technical skill set, your technical experience, right? Your experience that's relevant to this role. And that, from my perspective, that's really not the case. A lot of people will tell you, right, there's a lot of soft skills and behavioral norms and things like that. They're a lot more important and really are more differentiating from candidate to candidate, right? So, you're coming in as a junior, we generally expect, hey, you're going to have a certification in a particular, cloud focus or, maybe like a Terraform cert or something like that. You're going to know that, right? You're going to know that to a base level to be able to be functional. But are you a good team player? Do you approach situations from a more logical, break it down, look for root cause type of approach? Are you more of a people person? Are you a people pleaser and focused on customer service? These are all things that are differentiators, and you don't have to have a long tech resume to show your unique kind of attributes there. So I think that's one big misconception, is just that we don't care about that, or that that's not going to be the focus, when really it's the exact reverse.
Yeah, no, man, that's something that I preach all the time. Where like the tech can be learned, right? But do you have a process of solving problems, right? So even if you're not in tech yet, right? Even if you're in a bank or you nurse or you retail or you restaurant, you've been in scenarios and situations where you have to think quick on your feet and figure out how to solve a problem and get to the root cause of it, right? So if I'm in banking and someone is coming in complaining about money missing from their account and they just don't know where it is, guess what? I have to be the one to really find the root cause of that problem. And what is my process of doing that? The same process can really be attached to anything in tech. And for a lot of you, you may be using a lot of the tools that we use in tech anyway in your non-technical role, and you're not giving yourself a lot of credit for it. Now, for those of you who think, and it's okay, I just want to see, right? And don't be embarrassed for putting this up. If you thought it was all about certifications and just tech skills, put me or raise your hand in the chat. I want to see. And it's totally fine. This is a safe space. You're not going to look crazy. I thought that way. So I want to see how many people actually think that it's just about certifications and hard tech skills. Yep. Yep. Absolutely. I know it's more. Yeah, I'm about to say I know more coming. Look, because I was that way. I thought like I had to be a genius in the tech skills and I had to have all the certifications. So I was literally going for first stop. I want all the AWS associate certifications. And this was even before they had the foundational CCP. This is like I'm getting all this associates, and then I'm going for the professionals, and then I'm going for the specialties, and then I still won't know anything. So, but that's the joke. But yeah. So it's all about solving problems. So, speaking of the misconceptions, right? In your experience, what are the top three qualities hire managers like yourself look for in junior cloud candidates?
Yeah, yeah, and I mean, it is really going to be a lot on that soft skills and kind of personality differentiator side. So, above all, and I mean, I think this is just a good life thing is, honesty and being genuine, right? Like, I get the biggest turnoff in an interview is when you get that feel that somebody has just straight out lied on their resume. They just misrepresented themselves. They're overselling themselves to try to tell you what they think you want to hear. That's just the biggest turn off. It's a red flag right out of the gate. And it's a recipe for problems down the road, right?
Yeah.
That creates toxic work environments. And so, I'd say biggest recommendation I have is above all, be honest. If somebody asks you a question and you feel like, man, this is a make or break. If I don't know the answer to this question, I'm not going to get this job. Still be honest. Just say, I don't know.
Yeah.
You can put positive spin on it, right? You can be like, hey, I'm interested to learn though, and I'm eager to learn,
Right.
confident I can learn. But just be honest. That's a big thing. Um, Another thing, like I talked about before is, you all have something that makes you special, right? That you all have something that is your, background from another career, or, what made you want to get into IT in the first place? What was that thing that ignited the passion? And, really that's the secret sauce that makes somebody go from a mediocre average performer, when they're on your staff, to something that's really special, right? So we want to understand what that is, right? And that can be a lot of different things. In some roles, there is something particular we're looking for, right? And it's never going to be in the posting, right? We're never going to tell you, hey, we have a team of six, developers or cloud engineers, and our biggest problem is we have a bunch of introverts and we need somebody that's willing to be vocal and do presentations. Very rarely are you going to see that in the job posting, right? But you never know, right? You never know what that secret sauce is that might elevate you even beyond people that have a lot more experience than you. So, really embrace, the things that make you special, and exhibit that as much as you can. Um, That would be another one, and another big one would be just collaboration and teamwork. You know, willingness to be transparent with others, be communicative, especially if you're looking at a hybrid or a remote role. That's super important, right? Like
Mm,
you almost have to go above and beyond in today's world to really make sure that you're selling your brand internally, and people know where you're at, where your challenges are, and that you can contribute back to the greater good too, because there's things that or there's ideas that have that contribute value day one, right? So having that really good ability to exhibit, maybe it's in the level up in tech program and you can talk about how you worked with your peers there. Maybe it's in another career and you can talk about how you worked in a team environment. But that's a really big one, almost universal at this point. Very few roles that I have that I'm like, yeah, I don't really care if they've had experience working on a team. So
yeah, thank you for sharing that, man. The first thing that you said was like really what I got out of it. Don't fake it till you make it. Like, don't lie, right? And you might be stressed and have anxiety and you want to do this because you want the job. But I'm going to tell you this, the shortcut is usually the longest route. And once again, if you get into a scenario where you ask a question, if you never work with that particular service or tool, or you haven't had experience with that process, or you can't think of an instance where you've been in that scenario, just say, hey, if it's a tool or service, say, hey, I'm sorry, Cody, I haven't had experience with that tool, but I'm pretty confident with the opportunity. I'll definitely be able to get up to speed quickly and be able to help the team solve problems with it. That's one thing I do know.
yeah, and I'll
Eh,
tell you a story. I one of the interviews that I had, probably my second or third role in IT. The company was interviewing for two different positions at the same time. One of them was a full stack developer position that I had applied for, and the other one was kind of more of a specialist within a specific proprietary vendor software. And that role came up in the interview process, and they asked like, "Hey, have you ever worked with that software? Have you ever heard of it?" And my answer, I was probably, immature and a little blunt at the time, but my answer was no, I've never heard of it. But if you need an expert in that software, I'll be your expert. I'll come in, I'll do the work, I'll learn it. And a year from now, you need somebody to count on for that, I'll be your guy. And the
Golly.
interviewer at that point was like, I mean, I thought I just blew it, right? They were like, this is such a complex software, there's no way you've never been formally trained on it that you're going to be that guy. And I'm like, well, I'm just telling you that's who I am, right? If that's what you need, if that's what the business values, that's what I'm going to do. And after the fact, after I got the job and everything, I had the opportunity to talk to the hiring manager, and I was just like, hey, what was that was like, yeah, he's for this role. And he told me like, hey, I thought you were three-quarters full of shit when you said that, but you saying that, I believed you. Like the way that you
It's the
said it.
confidence.
Yes. You can turn that I don't know into a huge positive, right?
Absolutely. A confident I don't know, right? Where once again, you can say, I don't know. I haven't worked with that. Because some people, especially like me, if I'm interviewing you, I'm gonna be like, well, are you willing to learn it? Because you have to, really put yourself out there and sell yourself. Like what you said to me, that's me. Like that's something genius, man. Like, hey, if you're looking for an expert, I'll be the guy. I'll be the guy to go in and learn everything I need to learn about it. In a year from now, I'll be the go-to guy that you can count on that can really be front facing with the customers, teaching them everything that they need to know so we can design solutions, whatever the case may be. Right. So if y'all taking notes, hey, I'll say take that note. Go in there with I've seen people who have landed roles with confidence in 20% of the skills. And I've seen people who had 70% of the skills with no confidence and just they're like, man, I don't think he's or she's right for the team because We don't know if she has the confidence to really be self-sufficient to figure out how to solve these problems. But the person that comes in is like, hey, give me an opportunity. I'm hungry. I'm ready to learn. They're going to be the ones that get it. So confidence is key. Confidence is key. Please remember that. Drop the keys in the chat if you hear me. Confidence is key. Okay. One thing I would say, just be willing to push and continue to learn. That's it. Just have that chip on your shoulder. Be like, listen, I am hungry. I'm ready to learn whatever you put in front of me. And I know this is a lifelong learning journey, and I'm just going to be ready to continue to learn and learn more so I can be an asset to this company and help you all solve the problems. Because at this point, it's about it is what the company can do for you, but it's about what you can do for them. I always say you're not an employee looking for your next role. You are a business who's selling their services to the best client. So as you look at it like that, how are you going to sell your services and get the client's trust that you can get the job done? All right. So please take notes, y'all. All right. So can you walk? I know you talked about fake it till you make it, but can you walk us through like the most common mistakes you see on resumes and how candidates can avoid them?
Yeah. So I mean, yeah, the obvious one, right, is
Yep.
don't lie, right? Don't say something that you can't back up later. But I think just from like a formatting and logistics perspective, I've seen a lot of people, look for volume over quality, right? Here I can give you a whole bunch of skills that I know, and I can give you a whole bunch of certifications, and I can give you a really long list of my last role, what all my responsibilities were, and use a bunch of buzzwords and stuff like that. And it really, we don't have hours out of a day to read through a novel of a resume, right? Where
Yeah.
resumes are a filter, right? Resumes help you go from 120 candidates that are applying for a position to your top 10 or 15. So you got to think of them that way, right? Like, how can I most directly say what I need to say and show that you should move me to the next step? But say real things, say tangible things. So I think that's one of the biggest ones, is just going for that. Like, you don't get credit for the number of characters or number of words on a resume. The other thing, we were talking about this before the meeting here. In today's day and age, if you're not working with like a professional resume writing service or anything like that, throw your resume in Chat GPT, and ask it like, hey, can you optimize this for Workday and Bamboo forms, or can you help me, make this more brief, or things like that. That thing does a great job, and that's an excellent use case for it. So, like, don't skip on that. Don't skip on spell check, right? That's silly.
Yeah, right. Absolutely. That's attention to detail.
Yeah.
So, all right, for me, when you talk about having all the skills, right? All the certifications. Once again, I look at things from a business aspect, right? So I'll look at it like, okay, if someone asks you, could you redo their bathroom? Let's say you're a carpenter and they say, hey, Broadus, are you remodel bathrooms? And you say, yeah. They'd be like, man, can we see some work that you've done with bathrooms? And then next thing you know, I send them kitchens, I send them decks, I send them bathrooms as well, right? But they're like, hold on, I didn't ask for all of that. I don't even care about the decks. I don't care about the kitchens. I just care about the bathrooms. That's how your resume should be. Your resume should be, hey, I care about what you said you were looking for. So here are the specific things that you're looking for that I can help you with. That's
Yep.
what your resume should just address. Like, you go in and talk your talk, but make sure you can walk your walk. But they don't want to see, if they're asking for someone to be strong in Terraform and have AWS skills, why are you putting your Docker and Python projects up? Why are you, putting your Azure projects up? They didn't ask for that. They asked for AWS and somebody who's strong in Terraform. So your resume should be filled with a lot of problems that you solve through Terraform and AWS. A lot of different use case scenarios. So I know we touched on this a little bit, but I always want to remind people, how important do you think hands-on experience is versus certifications? And if somebody's starting, right, which one should they prioritize over the other?
Yeah. Um, yeah. So I'll address your second point first, in terms of prioritizing. So, I mean, I think I just look at it from like a personal value perspective. I think the hands-on experience aspect is more valuable to you personally. I don't know. I sat for the Terraform Associate cert last year, and there's a ton of good information that comes through that training, and it's a legit certification. You can't fake that one very easily. But at the end of the day, if you haven't ever actually sat down and worked with a Terraform, ran it by, dealt with, drift and things like that, yeah, maybe you got the cert, but do you actually know how to do it? Did you get value out of that? So I'd look at it selfishly. Where are you going to get the most value? Now that's not to say that certs aren't valuable, right? And
Right.
going through the journey to get those, that's where you're at in your journey, and you get a lot of that getting that experience, that formal training. Do it, right? I've got guys right now that are seeking some instructor led training for the AWS SysOps certification, and I asked them when they came to me, I was like, why do you want instructor led training? And they're like, look, we need dedicated time. We need like focus time, hours at a time to really focus on this thing.
Mm.
That's what we need for it to be valuable. And I'm like, yeah, that makes perfect sense, right? If that's where you're at and that's what you need to get value, yeah, do that. But yeah, I mean, in terms of just like, trying to get a job, right? And like a hiring manager, what are we going to look at as valuable? Again, I would go back to, there from a weighting perspective, it's way more about behaviors. It's way more about soft skills. It's way more about those things that are differentiators. So what I might be looking for is, hey, if I've got a role and it's, I put right in the job posting, you've got to have experience with Redshift. That's going to be key to the job. It's experience we need to have. Then yeah, I'm going to be looking for, a certification or clear experience, that calls out Redshift, like know your customer.
Right.
But at the end of the day, if I'm looking at 3 people and they've all got Redshift experience, what makes one different than the other ones, right? Like what is that secret sauce that makes them care, that makes them excited to be there?
No, man, that's awesome because really what I got out of it, maybe not what you meant, but what I got out of it is this. Some of y'all already probably have the skills to get the job outside of the tech skills. If you have experience, the transferable skills with, communication, solving problems, how you worked on a team, how you led a project. You all right now already have those things. You just didn't know it. You didn't know you could bring it to the table. So the tech skills that you learn and the certifications that you earn are just more of a building block to add to the already existing skills that you have. Raise your hand if you already knew you had these skills. Raise them. I want to see the hands raised. Raise them. Nobody knew they had these skills. Okay. Hey, I'm glad I was able to teach you something.
We're
Because
just talking too much. We're putting them to sleep.
yeah. Hey, if I want to, I want to make sure, Cody, because Cody said it. If you finding this valuable, put the gems in the chat as well. I want to make sure we're giving you value, and I want to make sure you get a clear insight on what they're looking for when they're trying to hire you. All right, so maybe we got a delay because I see some hands coming in now, and I better see some gems coming in later. All right, so let me ask you this. Can you share any tips on how candidates can prepare for technical interviews or assessments that you may give or anybody may give in the cloud field?
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what not to do to prepare is to get like 3 AI up on your screens ready to like try to answer the interview for you. Because I mean, the AI is great, and these agents are great, but we've had so many interviews in the last year where it's like, the debrief is like, so do you think they were using Chat GPT or Copilot? Or like, what were they trying to do? So don't do that. I mean, at least if you do that, at least think through it too, right? Like, just don't copy and paste the stuff that Chat GPT gives you. So that's a don't do that. But yeah, I mean, what I would say is when I have a interview that has a technical assessment as a part of it, the things that I'm looking for is not that you're a genius and that you automatically know every answer to every question. What I'm looking for is how you work through the problem, like how your mind works, how did, for one, do you ask? If I don't tell you, can I Google that? Like I usually can find a starting point, and a lot of times we're looking at it like, yeah, I mean, if this was a problem that was part of your real job, first thing we'd expect you to do is go Google it, right? But
Right.
Google's not going to give you the answer. You still got to think through it and be logical. But just I wouldn't stress about it. I would just be honest, be genuine, talk through how you think through it. Don't fake it till you make it. Don't throw out buzzwords, trying to ace the thing. A lot of times, this might be unique to us. I'm not sure, but our technical assessments, what we ask of candidates is that you interact with us as interview panelists like we were your team. Think of it as a pairing session, right? So we're not asking you to put the world on your shoulders and fix this thing. Use us, right? Talk through it. A lot of times what we'll do is we'll throw up a GitHub workflow that's failing, right? And we'll say, just fix it, right? Like that's the only guidance we give is fix it. Well, that perfectly acceptable first step is, hey, I've never worked with GitHub workflows. Where do I go to find the log entry? Or, at least then I know you're thinking, right? Like you're looking for something. That's
Right.
better than freezing and just clicking around on the screen, right? Just talk through it, be genuine.
No, man. This brings up a great point where I'm going to right now. I'm looking for what we call our cloud problem solving framework. Right, so it's a framework that we offer in our school community and in our program that you can use to really just use it step by step guide to solve many problems, even on a technical assessment that you may have. And this is something that you can take for life into your career. So let me grab that link real quick. Let me see if I can find it. Cloud problem solving framework. Where we at? Let's see if I can find it. I'm gonna put it here. There we go. I got okay. I'm gonna put this link here in the community. Excuse me, in the comments. Highlight that link, paste it in the URL. It'll take you to community. If you're not part of the community, it'll just get you to sign up for the community, and then we'll approve you. And then you can go to classroom, and then you can learn and grab the cloud problem solving framework. And once again, they just want to see like you really just think some people when they get into a technical assessment, even a take home one, I've seen people just freeze and they know this stuff already, right? But they just so overwhelmed because they don't want to make mistakes. And I'm gonna tell you this: mistakes is how you learn. It's okay to make the mistake. It's okay to ask, hey, can I go check out some documentation real quick to see where I need to go real quick to, because this is what I'm thinking. And it's okay if you're wrong, they're gonna drive you in the right direction. But like Cody said, at least you are thinking. And one of the tips as well I would give to prepare for a technical role is if you have put your projects or anything you've done, just be prepared to talk about them. Because sometimes your projects can be so beautifully written or beautifully recorded or just in awe that the conversations would just be about your projects because they want to see did you really do what you did? Right. And your story is your story. So your process is your process. So if you've done it, then you could just walk them through it. Easy peasy. And that's an easy way to have a conversation. And sometimes you won't get a technical assessment, but if you do, just do the best you can. What I would do is just, make sure um, every core service or every core skill they ask you to have, just make sure you've done some problem solving with it. And once again, just talk about what you're thinking in your head. So, real quick, for like 2 minutes, I want to open the board for some questions real quick. If anyone got any questions, 2 minutes, get your question real quick, put it in, then we're gonna move forward. Let me see if you got any questions now. Well, let me sip on my stir. If y'all haven't had stir before, it's wonderful. It's like a water flavor enhancement. It's pretty good. All right, where the questions at? I know y'all have some. Hey man, hold up. Is that that's like a diner Coca-Cola cup?
It's a Dr. Pepper. So this is
Dr. Pepper joint.
it's from the Dr. Pepper Museum. It's in Texas. I'm probably going to get the town wrong. But I think it starts with a W. I don't know.
Just remind me of those, older diners that still serve those colored cups like blue and maybe Pepsi on it and stuff. No one has any questions at all. I hope y'all taking that long because you typing out your question. That's I'm gonna give you 30 more seconds and then we're gonna keep it rolling. Let's see what we got here. All right, okay. Let's see. Pierre said, what is your selection process when you go through resumes? How do you determine which ones to interview?
Yep. Yeah, I mean, it's going to vary based on the job and also how many applicants we get. So, a lot of times we have an HR recruiter that, will offer her services to kind of go through and pre-screen based on different criteria. But usually what I try to do, I really don't like to filter out a lot. I was talking to Broadus about this earlier. I'm not like I've had really excellent interviews that when I've looked at the resume, I was like, meh, not great. And I've had terrible interviews that I looked at the resume and I was like, wow, this person's awesome. So I try not to like use that as an eliminator. I try to interview as many people as I can. But given the role, like I talked about earlier, we might be looking for a data engineering role where Redshift is key. Well, if I don't see Redshift on your resume, you're not going to get on there, right? So that's an obvious one. And then usually when I have enough volume where I've got to prioritize, I'll kind of do a first pass and do a one-to-end prioritization. And it's usually based on, hey, this role is going to be on a Scrum team. Is the word Scrum anywhere on your resume, right? Have you ever worked in an Agile team? That type of thing can pop you to the top of the list. Things like that. Another thing that I want to call out that we talked about earlier was know your audience, know the company and know the role. So, if you're interviewing for an insurance company that's looking for a cloud engineer, don't put a bunch of skills on there that have to do with, you want to work for a gaming company and, stuff like that. Right. I mean, here's all the things that I know for, graphic design and stuff. We're an insurance company. We don't need graphic designers. Right. So, know your company and kind of, tailor your resume to a level.
Yeah.
Don't boil it down. Like don't leave off valuable stuff, but no customer. Right?
Yep. So like you got to look at like who's your target market in this one, right? So like if you're trying to if you find a customer that once again said that they want you to redo their bathroom, remodel their bathroom, right? Then you should be putting everything on your resume about the toilets, the sinks, the showers, the tile, all of the good stuff you did, and all of that. Your pictures should reflect as many bathrooms as you possibly can. and how you solve their problems before and afters. Same thing here. They ask you for Redshift. How many problems have you solved with Redshift? How many? Because guess what? Then it just becomes a conversation about Redshift. All right, I'm gonna see one more about Desi. She said, "What are soft skills?" We're talking about just communication, Desi. Like, how do you communicate with the customer? How do you communicate with your team? What does teamwork look like for you? Right? How do you, work within an environment where you have to collaborate with others? Right? How do you organize? Right? Like, if we give you a project or documentation to write, how do you organize written documentation or something, a training module where you have to show people what you've done, or a employee comes behind you, etc. These are transferable skills as well, but it's pretty much soft skills of like what you built out that are particularly you, right? How do you handle things? Like, oh, when I handle when confrontation comes towards me, right? If I'm a, let's say, a waiter, well, this is what I do to calm the customer down. I use my tonality and my communication and my hand gestures to calm them down and get them back in a place where they're, we brought them down as far as a calm level, and then we help them solve problems. All right, and I know y'all got all the questions coming in now. Maybe we got a delay. That's why the questions coming in now, but we'll try to get to some of them. Okay. All right. So let me ask you: for someone who's struggling to land their first role, what steps would you recommend for them to revitalize their job search and approach?
You said to learn their first role. You mean to
Land. Sorry,
oh, okay,
land
gotcha. Yeah,
to land their first role. It might have been a country accent. I'm from Virginia.
yeah, there you go. Yeah, so yeah, maybe you've been looking for a while, and maybe had a few interviews, aren't really having a lot of luck or something like that. I one of the things I really like about your program and a lot of the people that come out of it is they do a great job of promoting themselves on LinkedIn. They're not afraid to reach out to people. They're not afraid to make those connections. I very rarely have I come across connections from your program that are just kind of cosmetic face value, like, hey, I just wanted to grow my network, right? Usually I have meaningful conversations with people. I get to know, and a lot of the people I've hired from your program, I I knew them in a way before I even posted the position, right? I saw their video. I read about the projects that they were working on and things like that. So, I think that would be my number one recommendation is if you're not doing that, if you're not growing your brand, if you're not marketing yourself on LinkedIn, or if you could do better at that, invest some time in it. It's well spent. I think that's one of the biggest ones I would say, and don't be afraid to ask for help, right? Like when people reach out to me on LinkedIn, I very rarely turn them away, right? I don't always have a role sitting there ready for you right now. But if I know of something that's out there, I'll pass it along to you, right? If I know a recruiter that might be really effective for what you're looking for, I'll pass you their name. So don't be afraid to ask for help too. And most of us are pretty nice. I don't think I'm completely the exception of the rule. So that'd be a couple tips I'd give you.
Yeah. Always build a relationship.
Yeah.
Always build a relationship. And the relationship doesn't have to be take, right? Because I know some people will, hey, any advice you have here? Hey, can you look over my resume? Hey, can you do this for me? Hey, can you do that for me? It could just be like if you see him post his favorite football team, which is the Dallas Cowboys.
What's that now?
Who's your team, man? Who's your team?
Niners. Back
Niners. Oh yeah, okay. I see in the back now. So if you see him post his favorite football team up on there, and the Niners just played, you can really hit him or whoever with a message like, "Hey man, that was some game." Especially if you watch it, that's conversation starter. That's a relationship builder, right? You need to really just understand that sometimes it's not who you know, but who knows you. And for some of you, I want to say this: you got a lot of people that's looking at you right now that you don't even know. Matter of fact, as I say that, that reminds me of how me and Cody met, because Cody reached out to me about a gentleman that he was looking at for a while. And early into the program, he already had his eyes, and he ended up hiring the gentleman. But you don't know who's watching you, right? So this is why I always say too, if you're having, listen, the no's are expected, right? This is a game of endurance. Your journey is not going to be like Jacob's journey. Your journey is not going to be like Marie's journey. Your journey is not going to be like Tassa's journey. It's a game of endurance. How long can you show up and say, I'm going to divorce the outcome and I'm just going to continue to get better until you become successful and land in the role? Yeah, you're going to get, some people may get one no before they get a job. Some people may get 40 no's before they get the job. But just because they got 40 no's doesn't mean that yes is not coming, right? It's always like, okay, if I got this no, what can I adjust? And I adjust and I adjust and I get better and I continue to learn. That's the thing that you have to bring. You have to understand, like, this is a journey. This is a journey. You got to build relationships. And even if you build the relationships, the answer still may be not yet. You can't be discouraged and say, I'm going to quit, because some of you want the journey to be 90 days. Oh, 90, if 90 days I don't get no role, I'm just gonna quit. Well, you may not just get a role, you may not get a role. You know, I mean, I understand you being ambitious and you're putting that out in the field, but when it comes to tech, you can't really put a time limit on your learning. And I know I probably went off track a little bit, but I always want to instill that value into y'all. Just, it's your journey. Take the time and invest in yourself, whatever it is, to make sure you become better. I promise you it's worth it. I promise you that gentleman that when me and Cody first got together and he hit me up about, I promise you he thought it was worth it. He was a quick one. He got in there quick, and he got, the right situation at the right time with the right person came along, and it changed his life. Some people had to work a little longer, but when they got into it, I promise you, they felt it was worth it. It might take you 12 months, it might take you 18 months, but I promise you, when you get that role, you're gonna be like, ain't even, that 18 months that I was kicking and screaming about is, I don't even remember it. And I was going to say, this is why I tell people all the time, when you're having a hard time and you're frustrated, do not put that shit on LinkedIn.
Yeah, that's fair.
You understand me? Don't post your frustrations about the market, about recruiters, about whatever company that ghosted you. Do not put that on LinkedIn, because then guess what? Goes back to, you never know who's watching you. So someone's watching you, could be ready to give you a chance, and then you put that on LinkedIn, and they're like, "Oh, nah, I see the type of person that is, and we don't want that person in the organization." So that's what I'm gonna tell you. Okay. All right. So if a person goes through an interview, right? Well, let's say they hit you up, they got in contact, they build a relationship, they got an interview. What do you think is the most effective way for them to follow up after the interview to increase their chances of landing the job?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I think this one's pretty basic. I think follow ups are great. It shows that you have sincere interest, and you're again genuine. But I would say keep it simple, right? Don't overdo it. Don't come off as over eager and asking, again and again and again and again, what the status is or whatever. A simple note, if your main contact is the HR recruiter, those almost always get passed along to us. If you've got our contact information, feel free to use it. Send a quick note, but keep it simple, keep it professional, and just be grateful. That goes a long way. It's a good differentiator. If we've got a couple of people that we're kind of on the fence about, and one takes the time to reach out and just sincerely express gratitude and things like that's going to pop up to the top of our brain, right? So,
And guess what? I'm a I'm gonna get y'all real quick. I guarantee you that more than 50% of the people who are here or even out there that applied to jobs and had the interview don't even do it. Something so simple of sending a thank you note, they don't even do it. Even if you feel like you blew it, right? It don't matter. Like he said, he felt like he blew it. And then come back, they was like, nah, that's exactly what we needed. Like, hold on, what? For real? You don't know. You think you know because you feel a certain way. But remember, the success doesn't care about how you feel. It just cares about how what you do. So what you do and how you feel could be two different things where you said all the right things, but you feel like you said all the wrong things. But guess what? Send that thank you note, thank you from the opportunity, and just reach out for that. And that may be the difference maker. Maybe they interview three people, but you're the only person that send the thank you note and really differentiate yourself among the bunch, and now they want to hire you. All right. Um, Last question I have for you, and then we get to a little more questions here before we run out. If a candidate gets rejected after an interview, what should their next steps be to ensure that they can improve for the next opportunity?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I think just like following up, after the interview, usually at the end of the interview, we ask you what questions do you have, right? And I think one of the best questions that you can ask is, what based on our conversation, what are your thoughts? What areas do you think I might need to spend more time on, or what concerns do you have? It's a genuine question, and usually you'll get good, honest answers. But also listen, like actually listen to the answers to
Yeah,
that, and be willing to learn from it. Right? I have this problem myself sometimes. Sometimes I get tunnel vision. I got an idea in my head. I got an idea of what looks good, what works, whatever. And even though it could be slapping me in the face, I could have five people telling me, "You're not right. This is better." I get that tunnel vision where I don't listen. Try not to do that, right? Like people that are giving you feedback is a gift, right? You accept it, right? Don't get turned off by it. Don't feel like it's a criticism. Just learn from it, take it, and work on it. And sometimes you can't get that, right? Sometimes you don't get the benefit of asking that question. You don't get genuine responses back. But if you really think about it and you really reflect on how did I perform there, right? Where did it feel like I missed the mark?
right.
What did the rejection email say, right? If it just said we went with a more qualified candidate, that's not useful, right? But sometimes they'll give you some cues there. Just be willing to hear that and really react to it.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, I think that can really go a long way for the next one.
yeah. Thank you for that. And I feel like you get cues too in the interview where if you stumble across some questions about your experience, etc. Right. And I understand that sometimes you get ghosted or you just won't get the response. It's very important to not bring that frustration to the next opportunity because some people will sit in that frustration and allow it to stagnate them in their journey from not showing up properly for the next opportunity because like I said, you never know who's watching. So you being salty and just disappointed about the last one and not really doing anything to improve will can cost you the next one. Right. So let me ask you this. I know I said last question, but I'm asking just for my curiosity. How do you feel about if I'm a candidate and there were some things that I were weak in the interview and I got a rejection and let's say I didn't get the answer why it was moved on to another candidate, but I kind of know. How do you feel about like if I knew, let's say you talked about containers and I knew I was weak in containers, but now I did maybe a project or two solving maybe specific use cases that you all do in your company with containers. How do you feel about me sending that back to you? Like, hey, Cody, I know one of the things I probably was weak in was this, but I wanted to show you my ability to learn things quickly and being able to solve problems. And I wanted you to check out, a project that I just did. And maybe give me some feedback on it, what would you do differently? And let's say I built that relationship and send improvements to you once a month. How would you feel about that? As a hiring manager, someone doing
Yep. Yeah, I think it's going to depend and vary on the situation and the person and everything. Like I said, I very rarely like ghost anybody or turn anybody down when they reach out. So, read somebody like me, I'm going to be fully, reactive to that. Not everybody's like me, so don't waste your time and don't waste your energy if that's not the right fit. And it's a balance. Like I said, I think the follow up, simple, grateful thank you note, it is good. 18 follow ups probably not great. The way I would spin your example there is a thank you, right? So hey, I just wanted to reach out, and thank you for your feedback. Thank you for some of the questions that you had. At the time, based on your question, I realized I was a little bit weaker in Docker than I thought I was, right? So I took the opportunity to do some projects here and really feel confident about how I've been able to level up my skill set in that area. So I just wanted to thank you for that. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with saying thank you. It makes me feel good that I helped you out. And now I know, right? So I think there's ways and there's scenarios where that makes good sense.
Yeah, man. Thank you for that. I think that's a huge one that y'all need to take away, because step outside of your comfort zone and really do something like that, or what Cody talked about in that scenario, and that can go a long way. That could be a relationship builder, especially if you already have a good relationship, or like you built one through the interview. You like, man, I like this person. This person was really nice, gave me great feedback. Use it, because you never know. Another role may come across their desk, and you may be the first person they think about, and they may just give you a call or hit you up on LinkedIn like, hey, I got something that came across my desk. We haven't put it out yet, but I want to talk to you about it. And that's how you get the opportunities. It's about the relationship building. All right. So we have Cody here, and I want to, hey, once again, I want to make sure if this was valuable, put the gems in the chat, because we wanted to just give you a vision of what you can do and how you should be working with hiring managers, and how you can use this as an opportunity to land your next opportunities. So you never know who you will meet. We always want to help you put your best foot forward. So if this is valuable, put the gems in the chat. I see Steven put some. I don't know what that is, Steven. What is that? All right. Okay. Okay. So for those of you who came on late, or if you looking at this later, left late, we'll be up on YouTube. We're gonna put it in our school community as well. You can rewatch this. Um, hey, you mind if I put your LinkedIn URL in the comments as well?
Yeah, for sure. Feel free to reach out. And I took a screenshot of some of the questions that we didn't get to earlier. So I'm going to reach out to those people, try to connect and get them some answers too. So,
Hey, man, that's super awesome. Y'all hear that? That's super awesome. So I put Cody's LinkedIn URL. Connect with him. He's a great guy. Been knowing him for a while, and he always is willing to come in and just answer questions and help, just like you did tonight, man. And I really appreciate your time and you taking time for your family. I heard the dog is like, "Where's Daddy? Where's Daddy?" So, the dog's ready for you. But once again, man, thank you so much. And for y'all, if you got any questions, reach out to me. Reach out to Cody. Make sure you stay curious. Make sure you continue to learn. And once again, we appreciate y'all for coming in and just continuing to improve yourself and improve your skills and improve your thought process as well. So once again, brother, thank you so much, man. And hopefully we see you at another time and come in and drop some more gems, brother.
yeah, anytime, man. Like I said, sincere pleasure. And I always have really admired the program. I think it's great for the community. Great opportunity. So appreciate what you're doing and happy to help any way I can.
Thank you once again. See y'all. Good night. And make sure you watch this at school or in the Level Level Tech community. See y'all later.